Good morning. How are you this morning? Did you appreciate my serious side yesterday to the point you didn't believe it and would like to see it again? Well, no problem. My name in the professional world, my name is Edwina Bell, and I am the executive director for Divine Light Incorporated, which is an outpatient and intensive outpatient recovery center. We provide services for those who are suffering from co occurring disorders of substance abuse and mental illness. I need to let you know that we are hiring right now and we are in need of counselors, clinical counselor, supervisor. We are in need of house managers as well as drivers. So if you are interested in becoming an employee and seeking a productive and rewarding career in the substance abuse and mental illness field, please go to www.divine-light.net for more information or call our office at 302-468-4530. Better yet, why don't you visit our office at 1016 Delaware Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware 19806. We would love for you to join our family because those suffering from co occurring disorders, like myself, we do recover. See, y'all, I can be serious, right? But that's not who I really want to be. But I have to be when it's necessary. So, good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. And how do you do? Welcome to Free to Hope Conversation with Edwina B. That's me, y'all. Miss Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. Listen, my God chose me this morning to wake up. He said, rise. There is somebody that I need you to touch. There is someone that needs to hear your voice. There is someone that needs hope and encouragement. Edwina, I need you. I can use you, and I know you are going to be obedient. Oh, yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am. Free to hope, right? From recovery, emerge, empowered, so that we can give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Now, if you have been joining me over the years, because I've been in the state of Delaware for 34 plus years, and all of my recovery has been grounded here in the state of Delaware, particularly in Wilmington. But for the most part, I've been in the same field. Why? Because my God chose me from underneath a parked car 34 years ago in the streets of Philadelphia at 3 o'clock in the morning, suffering from co-occurring disorders, right? An alcoholic, a drug addict, a crackhead, a prostitute. I even committed murder. Yes, I had an abortion as a prostitute because I could not face the emotional turmoil of people judging or criticizing me, and I took life. But it wasn't until I got into recovery at the age of 34 that I realized I didn't have as much power as I thought I did. And all I did was remove the vehicle. God keeps the spirit. All right. And so when we talk about today's topic of emotional freedom, I can attest to that. All right. So many of you know, if it had not been for my spiritual principles, tools, resources, and the like, I would not be sitting here before you today. And one of the gentlemen who is responsible for me sitting in front of you is no other than the late Dr. Benjamin Twimby Brown. Yes, and so as a result of Dr. Brown taking me under his wings when he was the executive director of Community Communications Corporation and headed the Spiritual Revival Hour, where I did and have my TV talk show, Choosing a New Way of Life. If it had not been for twin and God yielding to the spirit, I would not be sitting here before you today. I had no idea that I had TV personality experience. I had no idea that I didn't have to use a teleprompt. I had no idea that being authentic and transparent is the only way to go. When you tell the truth, there's nothing else to tell. But in support of Dr. Benjamin Twin Brown, who passed away in my house downstairs, because of his legacy that we will continue, he is being acknowledged at the August Quarterly coming up Saturday, August the 24th at Harriet Tubman between the hour of 4 and 5. I will be there to accept his tribute on behalf of Community Communications Corporation. So come on out. We have some information that we want to disseminate. We are putting together a celebration of life for him as we also launch his book, The Legacy of Dr. Brown by Dr. Sharon Burton. So that will be in October. So we will be soliciting contributions, sponsors, souvenir booklets, and the whole 9 yards, because we're looking to have a 2-day event, 1 day in the park and another day in church. All right. So look forward to information coming and join us on August the 24th. The next announcement I want to continue to make is that we are hiring at Divine Light. And many of you know we just got our full license and certification. I thank God for allowing me to be present the last 3.5 months to help put the fire out, to help restructure, to help reorganize this life-saving organization that is crucial and important to our community. So I thank God that putting the foot to the metal and bringing my expertise, but most of all, bringing my passion of wanting to be of service to help others, to give Divine Light a new face. Edwina B, that's me, y'all. This is Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, but serious as I need to be. In the meantime, we are expanding, and we want to let you know that there are some full-time and part-time positions available. So full-time clinical supervisor, right? Full-time counselors, right? Part-time IOP counselors for the evening. And maybe on the weekends, we need part-time house managers and a part-time driver. We are on the move. I'm so excited. Yes. We are now offering youth, young adults program from 17 to 23. And we already have the adult program, but listen, we are also offering couples program. And for those individuals who are in our program who are homeless, we provide housing services as well. So go to www.divine-light.net to read more about our organization that's located in Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Visit us at 1016 Delaware Avenue in Wilmington. Send your resume to e.bell, that's e.bell, ding, 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 at divine-light.net, or call us at 302-468-4530. I know that's a lot, but just go back and review the podcast. All right. So with that being said, let's take a drink, a coffee. Okay. I want to, say thank you all, really. I really want to say thank you, because you have given me such an abundance of unconditional love and allow me to be me. And when we talk about the topic of toward emotional freedom, it is because of people like you who accept people like me to come into your life without being judgmental or critical. Okay. As a matter of fact, I haven't received a text from my girl about my dentures. So maybe she really got the point. I don't know, but I love her. And she knows who she is. Right. And so the whole idea, of me thanking you says to me, I need to keep doing what I'm doing because it works. Why am I trying to please, and I can't, a million people when I am pleasing at least one? I need to be satisfied with that one. Yes, I do. And that one is you. So thank you for allowing me to be me and you, right? Accepting the fact that I will allow you to be you. Why? Because of these 12 spiritual principles, tools, and resources that I've been using for over 34 plus years. So with that, I just want to say, I love you. I love you. I really, really do. Okay, so let's get to our topic today. All right, so when you hear the word toward emotional freedom, right? So y'all know I dissect words, right? So toward, you're coming to, you're making a pathway through, you're coming, right? You're in steps, you're moving forward, right? Toward, you're coming towards something, right? And listen, emotional freedom. Woo! What is emotional freedom? See, it's interesting because I've learned that we are emotional human beings, and I could never understand until years later how Dr. Spock of Star Trek was not an emotional person. He wasn't an emotional human being, right? And so he based his decisions and choices on logic and not emotions. Because as we know, we are emotional human beings, and sometimes we get caught up, if not all the time, in our emotions, good, bad, or indifferent. A lot of decisions, a lot of choices are based on our emotions. And so for Dr. Spock to be void of emotions, wow, the decisions and choices he made was like right on point because he detached from the emotions in order to make the best objective and correct decision. Okay. And so I'm looking forward to dissect this topic with you toward emotional freedom. Okay. So let's dive in. All right. So um let me bring it to the screen and let's read it. First, I want you to, this is what I want you to do, right? If you can, if you want to, if you are willing to, close your eyes, and let me read this, and then open your eyes, and we'll read it again, okay? All right, do that for me, all right? Okay, so let's go. All right, close your eyes now, okay? August the 20th, AA Daily Reflections toward emotional freedom. Since defective relations with other human beings have nearly always been the immediate cause of our woes, including our alcoholism, no field of investigation could yield more satisfying and valuable rewards than this one. From the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 80. Willingness is a peculiar thing for me in that over a period of time, it seems to come first with awareness, but then with a feeling of discomfort, making me want to take some action. As I reflected on taking the eighth step, my willingness to make amends to others came as a desire for forgiveness of others and myself. I felt forgiveness toward others after I became aware of my part in the difficulties of relationships. I wanted to feel the peace and serenity described in the promises. From working the first 7 steps, I became aware of whom I had harmed and that I had been my own worst enemy. In order to restore my relationships with my fellow human beings, I knew I would have to change. I wanted to learn to live in harmony with myself and others so that I could also live in emotional freedom. The beginning of the end to my isolation from my fellows and from God came when I wrote my 8-step list. Okay. For those who didn't, for those who close your eyes, you can open them. And those who didn't, that's okay. No problem. I don't know anyway, right? To thy own self be true. But if you think about what I just read toward emotional freedom, so let me give you the context again of what we're talking about. So we're talking about the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And we know that for those who suffer with this disease, and we know it's a disease, and those who may also have mental illness, like I did as well, but they are both diseases of the mind, of the spirit, in one way, shape, form, or fashion. Okay. And so with the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous are spiritual in nature. We tried religion, we tried medicine, we tried the temperance group, but what was found out by Dr. Carl Jung, that we who suffer from the disease of alcoholism needed divine providence, divine intervention. We needed to have a spiritual experience that would bring about a spiritual awakening that will produce an unlimited amount of spiritual breakthroughs. So just the fact that it is spiritual in nature says a whole lot. And so when we put down the bottle after we recognized step one, we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than us could restore us to sanity, soundness of mind. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our life over to the care of God as we understood him, right? 4, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And 7, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings, right? Step 8, made a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. You hear that? Made a list. And we've been talking about that, right? Making a list of 3 columns. Those I'm willing to make amends to, those I might make amends to, those I will never make amends to. And if you're a part of a 12-step program, then you can utilize your 4th step inventory to help guide you in making that list. So in making that list, right, you identify the organization or the person, the situation that occurred, the part that you played in it, and the amends that needs to be corrected, right? Indirectly or directly, in order for us to have freedom, emotional freedom at that. So when we talk about going towards emotional freedom, these 12 spiritual principles, choices, and tools that we have will help us achieve that emotional freedom that we so desperately need. We learn that we don't have to drink over our emotions. No, we do not. Because when we utilize the 12-step spiritual program, right, we are talking more about those situations that allow us to pay more attention to what is available this day that will give us what we need to be free, right? And so I'm not talking about just free from free. I'm talking about emotional freedom. Oftentimes we are so stuck in our emotions, we can't see the forest from the trees, right? And it's amazing how in our 12-step journey, we learn some things, okay? So let's learn something from this particular reading today, okay? Where's my glasses? Okay. Let's see here. It says first, since defective relations with other human beings have nearly always been the immediate cause of our woes. Let me stop there, okay? Right? Since defective relationships with others, human beings have let me see, I get have nearly always been the immediate cause of our woes. Okay. And it's defective relationships, right? How many of you have relationships that are defective in one way, shape, form, or fashion? I know, all of us, right? Some past, some present, and some we even anticipate in the future, right? Right? So it says nearly, right, since defective relations with other human beings, right, have nearly always been the immediate cause of our woes. Mhm. And so when I think about the emotional roller coaster I've been on all my life in one way, shape, form, or fashion, particularly when I did my fourth step in inventory, I found out where these attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were first formulated by whom and under what conditions. And so many of us have learned, according to the Louise family, have been domesticated on how to respond to different emotions, and only to find out they were all lies based on fear, right? And so we can admit, if we are true to ourselves, that a lot of our relationships, right, are defective in one way, shape, form, or fashion, and it has caused us, right, immediate loss of peace, of tranquility, because we're harboring resentments, we're harboring jealousy, we're harboring hatred, right? And so what kind of spiritual emotional freedom is that? All right. Now, it also says here, right, including our alcoholism, right? Including our alcoholism. Now, maybe you're not an alcoholic and maybe you're not a drug addict, but you are addicted to something. Oh, yes, you. I don't. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. My pastor, Dr. Christopher Allen Bullock, he said, if you're going to be addicted to something, be addicted to Jesus. Be addicted to praying. Being addicted to going to church. Be addicted to something that's spiritual in nature. Because we are creatures of habit. Yes, we are. Y'all hold on 1 second, because this is giving me a sign that my phone is getting ready to go off. And so as a result, I'm not able to find what I need, and I'm just going to pray that it stays on. But in the meantime, let me move this around over here, okay? So one of the things I've learned, right, is to hit the pause button so that I can continue on my journey of being obedient. Okay, let's see how that works. And so when I think about how we used to drink behind any and all things, and somebody may be going shopping, somebody may want sex. I talked to a person yesterday. She said, I ain't addicted to nothing. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And then after she thought about it, she did say, I'm a workaholic. See what I mean? Okay. And so when we think about how these relationships have been defected and how they affect our emotional side of us, sometimes we act out and they act out too. So it's like defects in collision. All right. So when it says including our alcoholism, no field of investigation could yield more satisfying and valuable towards this one. Did you hear that? So let me read it in its totality again. Since defective relations with other human beings have nearly always been the immediate cause of our woes, right? Including our alcoholism, no fields of investigation could yield more satisfying and valuable towards this one. Could you imagine? Can you even imagine what emotional freedom feels like? Hmm. Well, I do. I do. Oh, yes, I do. Oh, yes, I do. And maybe you have in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But when we who are in a 12-step recovery program, we are always making progress. We are always going forward. We are always working toward the light. We are always stumbling forward, right? And so that means there is still emotional freedom yet to be had. And guess what? I'm greedy. I want it all, right? And so the idea that we as human beings, right, utilizing 12 spiritual principles, tools, and resources that are at our beck and call, if we just pick them up, but if you pick them up, doggone to use them. And I am one to tell you it works when you work it, right? I have to interject this, right? Years ago when I had my oldest grandson with me and I would take him to my meetings, right? And this individual couldn't stay sober. He couldn't stay sober. And I'm crying and I'm, sharing with my grandson. And my grandson said, Grandma, didn't y'all say it works if you work it? Pray for him, Grandma. It works if you work it. See, I used to take my kids to bars, to crack houses, to brothels. What? I'm here in my recovery. I've been taking my grandchildren to my meetings, and they are able to give back to me what they heard in order to help me. See the parallel of negativity and positivity. See the parallel of humanness and spirituality. Just those two examples. My God. And so I always love the fact that I will never be perfect, but I love working toward continuously emotional, right? Emotional freedom. All right. So let's go down to what the gentleman had to say, right? He says, willingness is a peculiar thing for me in that over a period of time, it seems to come first with awareness, but then with a feeling of discomfort, making me want, right, to take some action. So let's break this down. All right. I know I break it down, right? It says willingness. Willingness. Let me put that up there again. It says willingness is a peculiar thing for me. Okay. Willingness. Now, we exercise willingness all day long. You agree? Of course you do. We are willing to do this, or we're not willing to do that. We are willing to get up, or we are willing to sit down. We make decisions all day long. When we make decision, what follows? Our actions, right? Or inaction, right? So it's amazing how when I get in touch with the simplicity of the program, whereas I try to make it complicated, I was like, you're right. Yeah, I made a decision to get up. Well, to make a decision to get up, I have to have willingness to do it, right? To make a decision to start my program, right? I made the decision, but it needs to be followed by action. That makes sense? Okay. So we can make a decision, right? To get up or not to get up. We can make a decision to start my program or not to start my program. And either way, it takes willingness to produce that which you desire or don't desire. All right. So let's continue. So he says, willingness is a peculiar thing for me in that over a period of time, it seems to come. It seems to come first with awareness. All right. All right. So you see that, right? Over a period of time, it seems to come, right? First with awareness, right? And so you may not have ever been challenged by me saying, do you know that, or are you aware that you make decisions all day long? Are you even aware of that? Probably not, right? And then are you aware that your decisions are going to be followed by some form of action or inaction? Are you aware of that? And this says over time. So before I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, I was just reacting. I was just responding. I was just going on instinct. I was just robotic. Okay. But after doing my 4-step inventory, I saw how going all the way back as far as I can remember where those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were first formulated, right? I made a decision to imitate my mother, right, in her seductive ways because I wanted my dad's attention. I made a decision to keep stealing because I saw my dad steal at the five and dime, and his reply was, they're not going to miss it. I learned about prostitution early before I even picked up a drink or drug because of the atmosphere in which I was subjected to. Yeah. So I consciously made a decision to repeat what I saw. That makes sense? Okay. So over time, and those behaviors, attitudes, and ideas perpetuated themselves, and I can be challenged up to today. And make no mistake, yeah, that humanness will come in, and yes, I can. I'm just truthful, right? Listen. But the awareness is key. So first we become aware, and that's what I'm trying to do for you right now, is to make you aware of how we make decisions all day long, and our decisions are followed by action or inaction, right? And so over time, we become more aware and want to go toward emotional freedom because of that awareness, right? Now here's the hit, because it's the truth, right? It says, right, but then with a feeling of discomfort making me want to take some action. So let me read that in its full content. Willingness is a peculiar thing for me in that over a period of time, it seems to come first with awareness, but then with a feeling of discomfort, making me want to take some action. Wow. A feeling of discomfort. Let me give you an example. And I shared about it in my meeting yesterday, right? And this is really close to home. I told you I'm transparent. When my niece was transitioning downstairs, my niece slash sister, Helen, right? And mind you, Helen was the 11th family member that I've taken care of on hospice. During her last hours, right, on this earth, she called out while she laid in her bed, and I was across the room from her. And because of her uncomfortability and the medicine that she was on, she was still able to cognitively say, Aunt Weena, help me. Aunt Weena, help me. She leaned over the bedpost, Aunt Weena, help me, as if she was reaching out to me, and she was. She was. For whatever reason that I am still examining, but I am setting myself free, I did not yield to what I believe she wanted, and that was to be embraced. That's what I now believe. At the time, I was trying to comfort her with my words, right? Helen is going to be all right. Helen is going to be all right. But in hindsight, I believed that she wanted me to hold her. I made a decision. This decision didn't even come to me to go hold her. The decision I made was to comfort her with my words, right? So after it was all said and done, and days and weeks later, up until yesterday, I shared how I felt uncomfortable with not making that decision to yield to her spirit and needing to be held. Does that make any sense to y'all? Okay. And so I'm exposing it because that's what we do in 12 steps. When something makes us feel uncomfortable, when something is renting space in our head, when something is making us feel uneasy, that's the spirit saying you need to do something. You need to expose it. You need to make amends. You need to rectify that situation. And I am doing it right now because I want emotional freedom in that just one situation. So as I shared about it in my meeting yesterday, I said, and I exposed just what I exposed to you. So the spirit revealed to me, Edwina, okay, not that you missed it, you didn't do it. Based on what you were thinking, based on what you were feeling, based on your emotions, okay, it is what it is, right? But you will still have another opportunity to do it right. That's the freedom. That's the emotional freedom I'm talking about. I will have another opportunity to do it right because I will become aware, I will recognize the need for others than being satisfied with doing what I want to do. Okay. So let me say good morning to 58 Semi, his mommy, and Snake Doctor. Good morning, you all. Okay. So recovery. Oh my God. Recovery is a beautiful thing because it helps people like me and people like you, because they say all human beings are ill to some extent. So if I didn't get a chance to do something that I could have done differently, and for whatever reason I didn't, I need to accept that. Because the reality is I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Okay? I didn't do it. If I could have, would have, should have, I didn't do it. Okay. But recovery says you will have another opportunity to do it. That's the way life is. When I surrendered my one and only knee-bowing experience underneath that parked car, I knew that I was done. I knew that if this creator, whoever he is, wants to take me out or show me a better way, I was going to yield to that decision that he made, right? And so it was his choice that I remain here, but it was my willingness to submit to this spiritual journey I knew nothing about. One thing I did know, I did not want to go back underneath that parked car. Oh, hell to the no. I did not want to go back underneath that parked car. I did not want to go back to drinking and drugging. I did not want to go back to prostitution. I did not want to go back to all those ill behaviors, thoughts, feelings, emotions that put me underneath that parked car, where I made the decisions and the choices, so I contributed to my own demise. Yes, Why? Because of ignorance. And ignorance is good sometimes, right? And I'm learning that you only know what you know when you know it, okay? So anything and everything that I did, said, I did and said, right? It's gone. I done done it. All I had to do is accept it and learn from it. And that's what these spiritual tools do for me. Okay. And so when I say that we get another chance, right? If Helen was number 11, and I don't know who God is going to prepare me for next, but it doesn't even have to be in that situation. It could be in the field that I'm working in. People every day I see suffering from co-occurring disorders. People I see on the street, right? There's another opportunity to pray for that person. There's another opportunity for me to stop the car and get out and hug that person. It's another opportunity for me to let them know that, baby, you ain't got to live like this anymore. So, there is another chance. There's always another chance. There's always another chance. And these tears are tears of joy, y'all, because I felt wounded that I didn't hug my niece. Yes, afterwards, right? But God said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You will have another chance. Don't let it eat you up. Don't let it rob you of your joy, your peace. Set yourself free, Edwina. Share about it, pray about it, and look forward to the next opportunity. So I've set myself free. I'm back on the emotional freedom, right? Just by sharing that one situation, right? And so I just thank you all for allowing me to set myself free. Okay, and y'all know these tears of joy. All right. So let me so I can see. Normally I don't wipe them away, right? But I need to see. All right, so then it says here, right? As I reflected on taking the eighth step, my willingness to make amends to others came as a desire for forgiveness. Oh my God. Right? So check this out, y'all. Check this out. Come on now. Have you started your list? Can you put somebody at the top of your list like right now? And maybe you want to start with yourself. Maybe like I did, I put myself on the top of the list, right? Edwina, you. What kind of amends do you need to make to yourself? How did you hurt yourself, Edwina? How did you cause harm to yourself, Edwina? What did you rob yourself from, Edwina? What about that little girl, that little boy you left behind, Edwina? He's calling for you. She's crying for you. Don't leave me. Come back and get me. Is that little person still in you? Do you want to go back and get them? Do you want to go back and help save them? They're still there. They're still there. But you can work towards emotional freedom. That's spiritual in nature. To be united, reunited with self. Your God-given self. Woo, your God-given self. Wouldn't it be beautiful to bring your little girl, your little boy up to where you are now, and y'all can embrace one another like I'm embracing my little girl. I'm embracing my little girl. Yes, I am. I caused harm to my little girl. Yes, I did. But we are reunited now in spiritual wholeness. And we are both working toward, right, spiritual, emotional freedom. Okay? So y'all understand what I mean, right? So when you think about that little girl, that little boy, the first thing you want to seek is forgiveness. I forgive. Please forgive me for leaving you. Please forgive me for abandoning you. Please forgive me for neglecting you. I know you was crying out for help, but I didn't hear you. I didn't want to hear you. So please forgive me. Please forgive me. Ooh. This recovery, y'all, is so fascinating. Tears of joy, okay? And so when you go to put yourself on the list, right, you are basically asking for forgiveness, a desire for forgiveness of others and yourself. I felt forgiveness toward others after I became aware of my part in the difficulties of relationships. All right. And so this the second person I put on my list was my mama. Yes, I put my mama on my list. Yes, I put my mama on there. Yes, I did. I put my mama on that list. I know I robbed my mother of peace. I robbed my mother of sleepless nights. I know I robbed my mother of joy. Yes, I did. Not always, but during my addiction, oh my God. I know I did. My mother had four of her six kids addicted at the same time, and I happen to be the worst, right? So I know I am willing and have made amends to my mother, right? Yes, I did. Unknowingly to me, right? those nights that she cried, those nights that she prayed, those nights that she told the devil to get his hands off my children, right? Those times when she just looked out the window, watching me go back and forth from these hit houses. She was worried about me. She was concerned about me. And I hurt my mother. Yes, I did. I wounded my mother. I robbed my mother. But over time, and the willingness to ask for help, God made a way for me to make amends to my mother. My mother was number 7 of the family members that I took care of on hospice. You see, and so you will always get another chance to do it right, providing you are using and applying spiritual tools and resources so that you can recognize the opportunity, all right, and yield to the Spirit, okay? So then it says here, right? It says, I wanted to feel the peace and serenity described in the promises, right? And if you know anything about the 12-step program, and we have 12 promises, right? And they come true, whether we work for them quickly or slowly, the promises will come through. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. That's one of the promises, right? We will intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. That's another one of the promises, right? We will lose interest. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. That's another promise, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. And so when we talk about the promises, as a result of working these 12 spiritual principles, tools, and resources, we are journeying toward emotional freedom. Okay. Then it says here, right? From working the first 7 steps, I became aware of whom I had harmed and that I had been my own worst enemy. See, this is what I'm talking about, right? Because I used to blame anything and everybody. I used to blame even the dog, even the I don't like cats, right? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, something just came on. I gotta plug something in, right? Y'all just wait 1 second. Oh, 1 second. That is not going to happen on my shift. Where you at? There you go. There. Or my unwillingness to have myself be set free, right? Y'all, one of the things that I relish in is that whenever I am confused or whenever I am in doubt, whenever I feel uncomfortable, then I have a way out. I really do. And the question becomes, am I willing to utilize what's available to me And I do. And every time I utilize what's available to me, I get what I get. And I can't emphasize enough, you all. I really can't emphasize enough the question that I ask myself that helps me to determine what decision I'm going to make. And if that decision is going to take me away from emotional freedom or toward emotional freedom. And that statement or that question is, right? That question is, Edwina, is what you say, is what you want to do, is it going to feed the spirit or is it going to feed the flesh? Right. And so y'all know what the answer is. Okay. So let me close because I do want to read something to you, right? It says here, in order to restore my relationships with my fellow human beings, I knew I would have to change. I wanted to learn to live in harmony with myself and others so that I could also live in emotional freedom. The beginning of the end to my isolation from my fellows and from God came when I wrote my 8-step list. Be willing to write the list, okay? Let me share something with you from my book, From Crack to Christ, as it was written. Okay, I'm going to read page 93. It says, decreased flesh, increased fruit of the Spirit. Okay, let's see what I wrote there in 93. It's very short, too, okay? So here we go. All right. So it says here, right? I wrote this Friday, May the 7th, 1993 at 7:20 a.m., okay? It says, good morning, Lord. Good morning. Thank you, Father, for touching me once again with the gift of life. Oh, what a gift it truly is, Lord. Lord, I come to you this morning with a humble heart and a desire to seek your will today. Lord, there have been some changes going on in my life that I feel I must express to you. The Holy Spirit is truly working in my life, and at times when it goes unnoticed, there is a sense of submission. And this is all in italic, right? As I look back over the last few months, my behavior has taken on a different and more restraining awareness. I no longer dwell as much on physical and sexual fulfillment. I no longer close my eyes to behaviors that are unhealthy. I feel as though I am getting stronger in areas where I allow myself to be weak or to play into certain unhealthy roles. I no longer feel comfortable. And I believe it is through the willingness I seek to change that the spirit of your love and guidance has and is prevailing within my inner soul. And I believe it is due to the spiritual feedings I have been receiving from your word. I have a thirst and a hunger about you and your will for me that won't stop. I desire more and more to learn about you and the doors that have been opened and available to me, I have and am willing to take advantage of. I love you. You love me. We are one big old family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? If it's God's will that we are rejoined tomorrow, I'll be here. And if His will, you'll be here too. Have a blessed day. Make that list. Be of service to others and acknowledge Him in all your ways. Because He will pay the way toward emotional freedom. It ain't nothing like being you, being me. I tell you, this Cocoa for Cocoa Pops. I love you guys. See ya. Be blessed. Lord, I love you. I love you. I love you, Lord.